Hey, this is Steve, and you are listening to the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast, a part of the BS Podcast Network. Enjoy the show.
In a world of ordinary fantasy football podcasts, ordinary guys rise up to bring you extraordinary analysis and entertainment. This is the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts Kevin Cotillo, Sal Lito, and Stephen Marcus.
All right, let's just not even waste any time. Let's just get into it. I mean, it's 2 days later. Kevin, we had to find him first of all because we contacted HR. He was out on a journey. I don't know where he went. He was walking around the neighborhood aimlessly, but we managed to get him back. And it's nice to have a Patriots fan who's part of the show because we could get that Patriot perspective. I wish that Steve was an Eagles fan, and we don't have an Eagles fan here, but I guess we'll just jump in and let's talk about this game.
Soul searching, Sal, is what I was doing. It's called soul searching. Eventually, you should try it. It's a good thing. You know, sometimes you have to reflect, take a moment, step back. You know.
Well, I'm glad you're alive.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely alive. You tell me how you want to start this. Look, I think I try to be
Eagles fly, score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3, hit 'em high, hit 'em high, and watch those Patriots die. Fly, Eagles fly on the road to victory.
We have an Eagles fan on the show.
Eagles.
What's up, Shane?
Guys.
It would be a nice little surprise to add Shane tonight and get the perspective of both fans. You happy about that, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I love Shane. Shane's a great guy. Hey, listen, Shane should be the first to tell you that I reached out Monday morning, complimented him on and congratulated him on his win. And, I think, the bottom line is the Eagles had a phenomenal game plan going into the game, and they executed it almost flawlessly. So you gotta tip your hat and give it to them. I mean, they fully deserve to win that Super Bowl.
Well, let me be the first to say that clearly we know you cannot trust anything a Patriot says because, 1 minute you're coaching a team, the next minute you're not. So I'm not so sure that Shane can believe that you were sincere with that. But, let's get into the game a little bit. Shane, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. It was a great feeling.
Who were you watching the game with?
Close friends. I watched the end of the game. I had both my boys in my arms and my wife in front of me. And then
let him move out of the way.
I cried a lot. I had my son sitting on my lap and I was hugging him and crying, and he didn't understand what was going on or why I was crying. I don't know what happened to the little one. He was there at one point and then he disappeared. So I might have freaked him out. Yeah. I mean, that was a beautiful game, and now your franchise is falling apart. They're going to force Belichick out the door to hold on to what's his name, Josh McDaniels. There, Jesus, what's going on?
I mean, we had a good run. It's been a solid 20 years. We're good.
Let me ask both of you guys. I will go to Kevin first. Kevin. And again, I guess because the Patriots did make that again, they're making that late comeback. They get it. They get a lead late. Well, look, it's looking like last year all over again. But the Eagles didn't rest like the Falcons did last year. They didn't fall apart like the Falcons did. Kevin, at what point was it over? Was it really on that Hail Mary? Did you really still think when that ball's going up in the air, we're the Patriots, this is going to fall in somebody's hands?
No, I didn't. I never believe in a Hail Mary. I mean, I think that those are, particularly when you can get away with absolutely, crushing the receiver at any point and, just
Chris
not
Hogan?
making it.
God.
No, I'm totally kidding. No, I do not expect a Hail Mary to ever work. So no, I did not think that they had a chance at that point. For me, I think when you see the Patriots have 2 minutes left, I think they had one or two timeouts left, and they had the ball. You're giving Brady a lot of time. They're down by 5 at that point. There was no worry in my mind at that point, right? I thought for sure they were going to go down and score and take the lead and be able to really seal another Super Bowl. So I will say, for all the people out there that love to bash, Patriot fans for being cocky and arrogant. Yeah, there it was for me, because right at that moment I looked at it. I'm like, oh, they got over 2 minutes. So they got the 2 minute warning, timeout, Tom Brady, whatever, it's game over. So, but when Brady loses that ball, it's, that was when it really sunk in that the Eagles are not going to crap on themselves. They're not going to, Peterson's not going to pee on his leg like Andy Reid did. And
the old Andy Reid peeing trick.
Falafel exclusive.
Yeah, so it's just you knew at that point that wasn't going to happen, and this one was going to, it was going to be their game. I mean, and like I said, all credit to them, because they executed for 60 minutes, and you can't take that away from them, and that's the reason they won.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people watching that, even people who aren't football fans, they're like, oh, Brady's getting the ball back with 2 minutes and timeouts. It's a wrap. Shane, when that fumble happens, what goes on in your house?
Well, I had actually stepped outside to smoke a cigarette, but I can watch the game because it's one of those, we're watching the game on one of those outside deck thingies.
I was going to say, you got one of those windows?
Yeah, so I'm screaming, jumping up and down. People are running around in the house looking for me to come hug me. I'm losing my mind, because I had actually already assumed that we were going to lose once the Patriots went up in the fourth quarter, because I didn't see how the Patriots, how do they lose there? They don't do that. They're the Patriots. We're the Eagles. This is, we're every other team that plays the Patriots. We get to lose.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, what did you have to say there, Kev? I know you had something to say.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's not just you're the Eagles. I mean, you're Philadelphia. I mean, the whole sports
he's taking
sports
shots,
community of Philadelphia. Really,
typical Boston. I'm pretty sure Kevin was planning the parade for 2019, second after the ball fell to the turf, and
just talking about
the Patriot fans.
Just talking about Vegas odds, my friend. That's all. Vegas odds.
Sat there looking confused, like, wait, we don't get the win. Everybody, they were looking at the refs like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to help us here. That's what you do.
Now, little known fact, I found out that when Kevin was out wandering around, he was actually doing his own version of the parade by himself, silently, because he was out there just trying to live that moment. But oh my God, he's so upset he dropped out.
Oh my God, he left.
We lost him, Shane.
So I get to take over the show now.
He plays it. He plays a good part, though. He plays it off pretty well. He was like, "Oh, I don't even really care." I congratulated him, and he couldn't even take 5 minutes of it, and he bailed.
We got
Here's
5.
the thing: most Patriot fans aren't even Patriot fans. Let's be honest. Boston didn't care about the Patriots before they started winning. That's a Boston Red Sox town.
It's very true. It's very true. I mean, even 2004, when they actually finally won the World Series, nobody was giving a darn about the Patriots at that moment. But while Kevin's away, I want to give Steve an opportunity to actually speak on his own show here. And so, you haven't gotten to speak much, and you're on the show, so I want to give you an opportunity.
No one's here.
So,
for this.
Do you guys want to sing the fight song together?
Fly, Eagles,
fly on the road to victory.
Let me ask Steve, because Shane was talking about how he felt it was over when the Patriots took that lead, and not this year, because and we talked about this going into the game, this all year was not the same Patriots defense that we've come to know in the past. They started out terribly. They became a team this year in fantasy football. You started your plays against them. In the past, it was always like, I get the Patriots this week. Steve, were you feeling that same way, or based on the fact that Foles was able to move the team up and down the field using basically all of his weapons all game, including himself catching a touchdown pass, did you feel at 33-32, I think that was the score, right? Did you feel like it was over at that point, or did you feel like the Eagles still had a shot?
The way that the Eagles were moving the ball, like you said, the game was so entertaining and it was so back and forth. I didn't at that point think that it was over, but I did all along think that the Patriots were going to win that game. Much like Kevin, it was when that fumble occurred that it was like, okay, this is over. Even that last drive that they had, it was, even for the Patriots, it just seemed like a little too much to overcome. If that Hail Mary had gone down, it would have broken a lot of things, a lot of hearts, a lot of people's spirits.
Oh, look at what happened in Philadelphia as it is. If they lose that game.
I mean, we tore up the city when we won.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only imagine.
So,
it was when that fumble happened that it was like, okay, I don't think that they're going to be able to recover for this. And but up until that point, I thought, even when they were down, I think they were down 12 at one point, or 10. I thought that they were going to win, and they came back, and just overall the game was, from a fan standpoint, if you're a fan of football, these are the games that you like to see. This game was fun for anybody that just tuned in. I didn't have a dog in this fight, but this game was entertaining from start to finish, and it was everything that you could ask for. And then the Patriots losing, I think a lot of people were happy about that too.
And that's the best part, besides the Eagles, is the Patriots, because they're so evil and their fans are just so douchey about it and so expect to win every year. No other fan base does that except for the Yankees. No other fan base does that. Every other fan base is like, hey, it'd be great if we could win, but it's just, I want a good season. Meanwhile, the Patriots are like, oh, we didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Well, oh, geez, that's just terrible. Screw you guys. Screw you, Patriots. This is the Eagles' world now.
Shane, I want to ask you a question of Carson Wentz. Obviously, he got the Eagles started this season and had the ACL injury. He gets a Super Bowl ring, but do you think that he will ever lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl?
Yeah, 2019. That's what. Here's the thing about the Eagles. They have all of their offensive weapons signed through 2020. They have all of their defensive weapons signed through 2020, 2021. So, notwithstanding injuries, which no one can predict, there's not a reason in the world that repeating's difficult, but there's not a reason in the world that they can't be in the hunt over the next several years. And I love Foles. I mean, he obviously what he did in the Super Bowl was incredible. But, leading up to that game, there were still throws that you saw him miss. And at least I did. I'm going, Wentz would have made that play. Although I don't know if Wentz would have caught that touchdown.
I mean, that play was executed perfectly. You saw that they released the mic'd up video of that today. I'm sure you've seen that, Shane. And basically, Foles was the one who wanted to make that call. It was really him who went over to Peterson and said, are we going to do it? Let's do it. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And Huddle got excited when they got in there and called the play. And it was executed perfectly, unlike Tom Brady not being able to catch the ball. I'm now going to say Amendola put a little too much air under that pass.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly. Give him a little bit of a break.
If you're Tom Brady there, though, if you actually care about football, you got to lay out and make that play.
Agreed.
That's true.
I agree.
I mean,
if his vertical was a little more than 7 inches, then I think that he might have been able to go up and get it.
I got to be honest with you. If that's Nick Foles, he dives. If that's Carson Wentz playing on a touring ACL and LCL, he probably dives.
I would imagine that Giselle would even dove for that.
No. I was yelling very mean things at her during the game, and I'm not very proud of that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've said, give me Heidi Klum any day. We don't need Giselle. She's second rate. Anyway, so one of the things that came out of this game that I wish didn't, because I was hoping to buy low on him in a few more places, and ever since the game, Tyler Gunther has been hammering me for 2 days to get Corey Clement from me. Shane, what do you think the future of Corey Clement is? I think that he steps into that Sproles role. I know Sproles says he's coming back, but I love what this kid could do. Do you think he's a viable fantasy asset for this upcoming year? And are you buying on him as we speak?
Definitely. I've been actually, obviously I'm an Eagles fan, so I get to watch him every week. And you could just, from the preseason, you could see that the kid was really good. You read the draft reports about him, and you're thinking, all right, well, this guy's just going to kind of be a slow grinder. And meanwhile, he's turned into this third down receiving back who's a master of the screen game and the reception in the back of the end zone there in the Super Bowl is just it's incredible. I wouldn't be shocked to see next year. He'll obviously be in a committee with Ajayi. I expect him to be the lead running back the following season, though. Fully. That's not just Super Bowl afterglow. I was saying that for a few weeks leading into the playoffs because he looks like he can be a full 3-down back. And it kind of makes me wonder what the hell is wrong with Wisconsin that they never throw him the ball.
Yeah, you see this so many times with these guys that come into the NFL and their skill set wasn't even used properly in college, and then somebody sees it, and you got other guys, more experienced guys who could see the game better maybe on a pro level who you see in practice or at a training camp. Well, this kid could do this. Let's put him in there. And guys blossom that were not the top guys when they were coming out of college. I think it's great. I lucked into getting him because I took that team as an orphan, and now I'm just torturing Tyler. He's offered me all kinds of stuff for it, and I've just kind of strung him along.
I'll tell you what, Tyler's one of the only other dudes that I know is touting him, listening to him on listening to the the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. I know he was touting him for a while, and I kept touting him in some write-ups on DFF in one of our least popular series. So not many people actually saw it, but I promise I definitely was touting him.
Let me ask you about a couple other guys while we're on it. I mean, they have Alshon Jeffrey obviously predicted that they'd win a Super Bowl because he does every year, and he would do that until they won a Super Bowl. So that worked out great for him. What about my guy, Mac Hollins? Do you think that maybe Mac Hollins in 2018 rather, he gets a little more play in this offense?
Yeah, I don't see Torrey Smith coming back next year. He redeemed himself a little bit in the Super Bowl after an early drop, which all year he was dropping passes, but he's a $5 million cap hit and he's free to cut. I think it's like $500,000 to cut him, and the Eagles are right up against the cap. So Hollins is going to see a little work, but outside of best ball, I don't know that you can use him really in any other format. At best, you're looking at maybe the fifth option on the offense right now behind Aguilar, who's going to be the number one wide receiver next year. You're going to have Ertz back, Alshon, apparently Corey Clement, who is a receiving savant, and Ajayi, however you say it.
That was a Philly way of saying his name for sure.
His name's hard. It's really hard.
All right, well, Kevin, are you back with us, bud?
I'm back. I'm here.
All right, Shane is going
Is
to
your family okay?
I think the house blew up, but the basement seems to be intact. I'll check on the family later.
Shane's got to run in about 3 or 4 minutes. He was set to record his own podcast tonight, and they got a little bit of a delay, so he jumped on with us earlier than we expected. But Kevin, Shane, before he goes, is there anything else you guys want to say to each other here on the FLAFFL House? Something that might get us some ratings or something.
Kevin, I hate the Patriots. I hate a lot of Boston, especially the accents. I hate the attitude of the fan base. I hate Good Will Hunting. I hate.
Oh, I like that movie.
Amherst. I actually love that movie. Yeah, it's a really good movie. So I got to take that back. I actually don't even hate Boston. It's a beautiful city. It's just the people that live there. It's the Patriot air quote fans who didn't exist prior to their Super Bowls. But other than that, I got nothing bad to say.
All right, Kevin, get something in before he goes.
That's great. Listen, Shane, I got nothing bad to say to you. I think you're a great dude. I'm glad you guys won it. You deserved it. You played. The team played great, and it's an awesome feeling. So enjoy it for a while, and everyone go check out Shane's podcast because aside from him being on it, it's actually really good.
Yeah. Real quick, though, I will say this, just so I'm not a complete jerk off your whole show. I do hope that every fan base that has never won a Super Bowl, or if for some reason basketball is your major sport in your city, just whatever it is, that you get to share that moment with your kids one day, because that's a awesome moment, just sitting there hugging on your kids and not going to say I was crying, but
You're crying right now.
Hey,
I got you on video.
You already said you were crying multiple times.
Damn it. Yeah, I was definitely crying, and it was worth it. And it's an awesome feeling. And I just hope every fan base gets to feel that at some point or another, except for New York.
Yeah, I'm with that. We can all agree that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, the Giants have plenty of Super Bowls, but the Jets haven't won one since 1969.
Nice.
So we don't talk about that. But Shane, thank you a lot for jumping in and joining us and adding some fun to the show. We really appreciate it. We'll definitely get you back on before the season starts.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, guys. Have a great night.
Later, Shane.
Congrats.
Bye.
All right, so let's get into the actual let's get into the Patriots, Kevin, and what's gone on since the Super Bowl has ended. Let's get in.
No, wait. Let's go with him before the Super Bowl starts. What happened with Malcolm Butler?
Well, so I was gonna say let's get into Malcolm Butler before Steve cut me off, because technically that all came out. I know they were talking about it during the game, but all the stuff that's come out since leading up to today, where he released a statement basically saying that there was no curfews missed, there was no rules broken. There's no legitimate reason, basically, why he should have been benched. What in the world went on?
It's really hard to say, because you want to believe everyone, right? You want to believe the fact that that everyone's being truthful. The Patriots. If you actually took everything that everyone said and just take it as it is and believe what they're saying in the public, view or whatever, it really wasn't a disciplinary thing. It wasn't. He didn't miss curfew. There was none of that. There was, it was a scheme thing. Belichick has been consistent with that. Everyone on the Patriots side that they've asked has been consistent with saying that, and now Butler's statement agrees to that they lost faith in him and that he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't break curfew. It was really just scheme and getting him in there. But when you watch the game, that just doesn't sit right, because you saw Batamosi and Eric Rowe and these guys just getting torched and not playing well. And Rowe got a little bit better towards a little later in the game, and when they finally switched and put Gilmore on Jeffrey, it helped a little bit, but they still just didn't play well. And you have to wonder, forget whatever scheme you're going in. If that's the game plan, we know the Patriots have always changed game plans mid-game as often as they possibly can. So for them to not do that in this, there has to be something else, right?
So, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, so why did they come out with the story about the curfew and all that kind of stuff?
Who came out with it, though?
So that hasn't coming out from anybody in the Patriots organization yet. Yeah. That was really all stuff that was being posted on Twitter, speculation in the media. Some guy from one of the sites claiming he knows an officer in Minnesota, which was a little sketchy. I saw Evan Silva had retweeted that, and so Evan usually tweets from good sources. I don't know how good of a source that guy was, but he put out something about marijuana and curfews, and if none of that is true, then that guy should close his account for posting that. And earlier last week they had the show out with Parcells and Belichick, and if you watch that, you saw Parcells. They got into in the past, and especially in playoff games, where Belichick would come with these game plans that just seemed crazy, and Parcells was not that type of guy, and he'd be like, what the hell are you bringing to me? What is this? We're not doing this. And he would go ahead and do it, and they would shut teams out, and they would dominate teams, and they ran like in that Super Bowl against the Bills, like they ran the nickel the entire game, and when you're doing stuff like that, you're going to take guys who are normally in certain positions, and they're not going to play those positions. They're not going to play. Yeah, for a guy who played literally almost 100% of the snaps all season and did play 100% of the snaps in the playoffs, it doesn't seem to make sense. But you can't – I heard Patriot fans killing Bill Belichick on the radio yesterday, and it was cuts that I heard from Boston. You cannot kill this guy for what he has done, what he has accomplished, and for maybe doing the exact same thing he's done to win Super Bowls in the past. I think it's really short-sighted and an uneducated view from fans to do something like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, everyone's upset because it feels like, first of all, let's not put it all on the fact that Malcolm Butler didn't play. I mean, forget the fact that, even if he had put him in, they weren't playing. Well, maybe he makes a couple of plays and changes that game, but they didn't play well enough to win. I mean, yeah, Brady threw for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns, but they didn't score enough. I mean, they just didn't score enough through the first half of the game for sure. And there were so many holes on defense. They weren't getting any pressure on Foles for a long time until later in the game when they really tried to gear up to get him. And they weren't, the coverage was bad all around, except with the exception of Gilmore, who I think played a pretty solid game. But all around, they did not play well. So I can't put not starting Malcolm Butler as the only reason they lost the Super Bowl. And if you do that, if you take that out of it, if you say there are other reasons, there's many more factors involved, which I believe there are, then how can you pin it all on Belichick and say, okay, it's Belichick's fault because he didn't start Malcolm Butler, or he didn't play Malcolm Butler, or he didn't change and put Malcolm Butler in? You're exactly right, Sal. It's short-sighted, and 3 days ago, Belichick was a genius, and now all of a sudden he's an idiot. It doesn't add up. Yep,
things happen. Teams lose. I mean, they've been in 8 Super Bowls. They've won 5 of them. I know people say I had 5-3. I tease people about that. Oh, they lost 3 Super Bowls. Listen to me. Brady literally just won the MVP. I saw people talking about he needs to retire. He needs to retire. They say at the Super Bowl he won the MVP the night before of the entire league. Everybody needs to calm down. I mean, the Patriots are now one of the most popular teams in the league all around the country. The fringe fans, it happens in every sport when teams win, and those people don't understand and they don't know how to take it, and they react very stupidly. This team will be back next year. They're already the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl in 2019, Super Bowl 53. I know people probably don't agree with that, but it's early. Things could change. Josh McDaniels is apparently coming back next year, so they're not going to lose the offensive continuity that they've had. And let's speculate on that, Steve. What do you think is going on there? People said that this was, because Kraft supposedly amped up the money quite a bit to keep him, and they say that was basically another shot at the Colts. But again, that's quick early rumors that are coming out. Do you think Belichick coaches 2018 and retires, and McDaniel steps in?
I think that if the Patriots win the Super Bowl next year, and I think he will retire after that. And but there's still a chance that he's not, because he's a weird dude. He's a weird dude. He's very competitive, and I don't know if he thinks that he's done, but I don't think that he's going out like this. I heard some people saying that Belichick's gonna retire this year, and McDaniels is going to take over for the Patriots. I don't think it's happening that quick. I don't think Belichick would go out on a loss like this, losing the Super Bowl, especially if Tom Brady's coming back. I think that he is going to stick around at least another year, and I don't disagree with the Patriots being the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year because they are in there just about every single year. So if you're making odds at this point right now, you can't really bet on a better team. So I don't think so. I think Belichick's going to be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, without a doubt, they're clearly the best team to make it back from the AFC because they've been in that game, 8 straight years in that AFC championship game, and they've won most of them. Kevin, what are your feelings on that?
So I'll tell you, it's the interesting thing to me, and Schefter's kind of getting some of this out there, which I wish more people would focus on the fact that for McDaniels, it's entirely possible that he just likes the stability of having Bill Belichick as his head coach and being an offensive coordinator under, what I think is the greatest coach of all time. So, there's and then there's other stuff that Schefter's saying about how, he's really hesitant to move his family again, and he likes the continuity. I mean, to me, that makes sense. I mean, if if you're that type of person that you don't want to move, then I mean, it's a pretty good place to have roots and stick around. I mean, you're going to have success. He's going to be. I know this is a bad look, and people will say, "Oh, he's going to start losing head coaching opportunities." I think it's crap. I think he's still going to get head coaching opportunities for every year that he's the offensive coordinator in New England, because they're going to have a top offense, and he's going to be a guy that people think can do it. So people will forget about the fact that he ended up turning this job down, and it's a terrible look. The fact that they had coordinators lined up and coaches already lined up and things like that. It's a bad look, but he will get other opportunities if he wants them. I think that he's just, and the other thing is, would either of you guys want to work for Jim Irsay? I wouldn't. I would have no interest in working for that guy.
But at this point in my life, yes. But if I was
the money's pretty good.
I was Josh McDaniel and he had the option that he has. No, if I was in his shoes, I would say, And I got to be honest with you, he's going to retire at some point, Belichick, right? So Kraft has basically made the commitment to the guy, whether it's this year, 2 years from now, like you're saying, Kevin. I saw the same thing about the family. And if you actually go back and watch that, if you guys haven't done it, Kevin, I'm sure did, the two Bills, the 30 for 30.
It's on my DVR.
All right, so what you're going to see is that Belichick, and I mean, this was one of my favorites of all time, and these are two guys who are, hard asses, and Parcells are hard, but it's so great to watch the dynamic, and you're going to see Belichick really kind of still looks at Parcells as that mentor and as his coach, and some of the things you'll notice is that Belichick kept moving with Parcells wherever he went. Like you're saying, like McDaniels, if he likes the comfortability of winning and getting paid well in an organization and being with Belichick, because it's what Belichick did with Parcells for a long time. And, at some point he got, hey, I want to go take this shot with the Patriots, and he did that on his own. But really, really well done. What's up?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you look at when he did finally leave, it was to come to what he thought would be a really perfect situation for him. And I mean, I think no one can argue with the fact that it was, right? I mean, it turned out pretty damn well. So I think
he had the core players that Parcells drafted. He was smart enough to grab, make sure he kept those guys and build that dynasty. Yeah,
and so I mean, I think McDaniel's probably looking for the same exact thing. Like, and let's be honest, Steve, you said the money's not bad. He's probably going to make, as an offensive coordinator, more than a few of the head coaches in the league this year. Yeah, I mean, they obviously reworked his contract. He's going to get paid a boatload to be the offensive coordinator. So, the money's great and all, but he's going to be a higher paid offensive coordinator than some head coaches. I guarantee that.
Let's talk about the other coordinator who did take the job with the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia. Kevin, when you had dropped out, we were talking about I brought up to Steve and Shane about what we really concerned when the Patriots took that lead in the fourth quarter, because this Patriots defense was just not good all year. They had gotten better, they had figured some things out, but they were just never a trustworthy defense. So coming off of probably his worst year of coaching, and I don't know that they had the players that they've had in the past, so the players still have to play. I don't know that we were surprised that he got a job, but, what do you think goes on in there in Detroit right now? Do you think that he goes in there? Do you think he has the ability to be a good head coach? Do you think we've seen other guys like McDaniel go to Denver, other guys come out from underneath Belichick and not succeed as head coaches? What do you think is going to happen in Detroit?
He's a tough one because, when you look at the coaches that have come out from under Belichick, like you said, and not been successful, I think part of the issue that they typically have had is they come into a program trying to do what Bill Belichick does, but without the Bill Belichick pedigree. And that's really hard to get guys to buy into a system where, it's basically all for the team and nothing for yourself, when you don't have the track record of winning to back that up and say, guys, this works. So, it's one of the reasons I think Bill O'Brien has been a little more successful than others is because he doesn't seem to do that, in my opinion. He's kind of his own guy. I'm sure he learned a ton from being here and from working with Belichick, but he does things differently. He didn't look to install a Bill Belichick system in Houston. He does it his own way. And I think that there's something to that. So the question is with Matt Patricia, can he do that? Will he step outside of trying to be the ultimate disciplinarian and everything is for the good of the team and it's my way or the highway kind of thing? And will he kind of adapt and make his own, get his own system in place and really work towards that? I think that he'll be successful. I mean, look, he is a really smart dude. I know that the defense struggled this year. And, even throughout his history, they've had defenses that were either good or bad or up or down. They've rarely had a top defense in the league, although scoring-wise they usually do. But they have always given up yards. But he's a very smart guy. He's likable for the most part, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. He seems like a guy that can get buy-in from his players. They all seem to like him and respect him and want to work for him. So hopefully he's smart enough to go in and let things kind of fall as they may and work within the Lions system and sort of slowly develop it over time into his own, rather than going right in and saying, all right, we're going to do things this way and this is how it's going to be going forward. I think you can't do that from day one. And so for me, I think he'll be successful there. I mean, the other thing with Detroit is there's really not much pressure, right? I mean, you got to make the playoffs and you're already, one of the better coaches they've ever had. So
yeah, that's an organization that's starving for success. So we'll see. We'll see how long they give him and what he can do there. Another story, we heard the story today that came out about Rob Gronkowski's house being burglarized while he was away. And I
don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I hate hearing stories like that because, in all seriousness, he's not married. He doesn't have a family. And thank God nobody was home in the house. We don't have to go back that far to remember the Sean Taylor incident. And this stuff happens to these guys. But the story surrounding Gronk coming out of this, and I don't think that he's going to retire, but he was asked that question in a press conference. And when he was asked that question, he turned and made a comment. I don't know how many people picked up on it. And he said, "How did you hear about that?" Not, "Hey, listen, this is crazy. It's crazy talk." His response was, "Hey, how did you hear about that?" Now, this is the best tight end to ever play the game. I don't think it's really disputable. But he's taken so many injuries, and he's the target, and guys go after him, and he's coming off that concussion, and I'm sure he had to work hard. Who knows how crazy and how many bad days he had leading up to this Super Bowl to get ready, because he had to miss one Super Bowl. He had the injured arm. He played with the injured arm, and one of the ones against the Giants. So he hasn't had that many Super Bowl appearances if you stop and think about it. So I'm sure he wanted to get out there. But Steve, what do you feel about his comments? How did you hear about that?
It's hard. It's hard with Gronk because he likes to play around a lot. So you don't know if it could have been taken in jest. He could have been being sarcastic about it. He's still a pretty young guy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He has taken a huge toll on his body. He has been injured. He gets targeted, like you said, all the time. He gets hit hard a lot. And, it's part of the game, but it definitely takes its toll. I'm not sure if I believe that he would retire, but I wouldn't see him, sticking out like Jason Witten for 16 years, something like that. I think that he's taken a little bit too much. He's accomplished so much already, so that drive it might not be there for him anymore in terms of, he doesn't have that much more to accomplish in the game. He, like you said, he's already one of the best tight ends to ever play. So, I could see him playing a few more years and then hanging it up earlier than what might be expected, but I think he'll be back next year for sure.
Better tight end, Shannon Sharp or Rob Gronkowski?
I love Shannon Sharp. But
I know you're a Bronco fan. That's why I did it to you.
Yeah, but, I mean, Gronk has been amazing. He changed that position, and he's a different guy. He's a different guy.
Don't you come change that position. I'm going to introduce you to a guy I know named Tony Gonzalez.
He was great, too. He was
it's
also
Gronk,
better
no
than
question.
Shannon Sharp.
Come on. this isn't even a question at this point.
It's tough for me as a Raider fan to say that Gonzalez is my favorite tight end ever played. Gronk, I said it. I said Gronk's the best ever play. Tony Gonzalez is just my favorite. He's a guy when I came into fantasy, I had him so many years, and he was a fantasy favorite of mine. And I never really seemed to have Gronk. I think I got him in one league this year or last year for the first time and only time that I've ever had him, because I'm not willing to draft him that high.
So Sal, the only other thing about Gronk that I just want to make put out there is Gronk gets a lot of crap for being labeled a stupid guy. Everyone knows he knows football really well, and a lot of times he gets called a savant because he knows football, but everyone thinks he's kind of dumb otherwise. He's not a dumb guy. He's very smart business-wise. He understands what he's doing. And I don't know if you know this, but there's, always been the last year, there's been rumblings about Gronk wanting a new contract and really wanting to extend himself. He has 2 more years left on his deal, 2018 and 2019. The cap hit continues to go up. It goes up by over $4 million this year, and then another million in change the following year. But the real kicker is that the Patriots can get out of it for fairly cheap, cheaper this year than ever, and then next year even cheaper. So a part of me is almost, and maybe it's cynical, but I wouldn't put it past him to float some retirement rumors to kind of get the Patriots thinking and see if maybe they bite on throwing an extension at him in this offseason.
No, I think that's an excellent point. He's set to make $8 million in 2018 and $9 million in 2019, and that's a bargain. Considering what he brings to that team, he's the number 1 wide receiver on that team. He's essentially should be getting paid, but a wide receiver 1 in this league gets paid because that's what he brings to that team. So I think, and I agree with you. Not only is he a smart guy and got a good business sense, he has a great family support system. And that family, everybody looks at them as a bunch of dopey frat guys, but they have played the market as a family all the way up, including that, yacht tour or whatever, that sail around wherever the Gronkowski cruise or whatever it is, where they're all involved in it. I think it's great that he gets his brothers involved. I think it's great that his family is there. And for a guy who's not married and doesn't have that married family system in place, he's got a great set of parents and brothers. And, how could you not like a guy like that, right? I mean, so there's a lot of likable guys on the Patriots, and it was a great game. If we could all walk away from that game saying we were thoroughly entertained, another one that went down to the wire. And, if Dorsett just goes off to the right a little bit, he's got a shot at that. I don't know why him and Amendola are both standing in front of Gronk watching that play, but I think that they should have been on either side of him, and it's a legit shot that he has a chance to receive that ball. Anything else you guys want to add about the actual game?
No.
I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, obviously the calls are a big deal, and I don't know if you guys talked about this with Shane while I was gone. So, from a Patriots point of view, and Sal, I think you disagreed with me on both of them, but I think that the Ertz touchdown was fine. I had no problem with that at all. That was clearly a touchdown to me. But the Clement one, I did think he was out of bounds. I didn't think he had control. It seemed like through most of the people that I saw, the chats and the social media and things like that, seemed like people disagreed with that thought. So I guess Steve's usually impartial, so I'm kind of curious what his thoughts are.
I think that they called it a touchdown, and so they kept it that way. I think that because they called it like that, that's what they were going to keep it as. I saw the bobble. I don't disagree with them calling it a touchdown. I think that they should err more on the side of catches as opposed to drops, and I don't think that there was enough to overturn it once they called it a touchdown. I would have given it a touchdown as well. So, but
how can you see a bobble and still say it's a touchdown? But knowing the rule,
because that was the way that it was called. That they called it like that, and that's their distinction that they have.
You just said you saw a bobble.
I saw.
You know that he has to have full control and be in bounds. How do you I guess I'm just confused as to how those don't say that it's not a touchdown.
I believe the bobble was as he was going out of bounds, right? He had it, and then he bobbled it as he was falling out of bounds. Never touched the ground. He completed. I just feel that it was. I feel that it was a catch. I am okay with it 100%.
I was okay with it because it won me money. But my biggest, I honestly thought it was getting called back when I saw the replay. And they said bobble or transferring hands, whatever it was. He did take 2 complete steps in bounds, but was the ball fully secured? When that third step touched clearly out of bounds, the ball was secured, but that foot was out of bounds. He went to the ground. Was there some hesitation on the NFL's behalf based on all the flack that they've gotten this year, specifically with calls being overturned for the Patriots? I don't know. So in all honesty, Kevin, I thought that one was getting called back. With the Ertz one, and you agree that you felt the Ertz one was a touchdown. The argument that people are having about the Ertz touchdown and the was it Jesse James who caught the ball for Pittsburgh?
Jesse James, yeah.
Zach Ertz clearly
becomes
three full steps and dives for the end zone. Jesse James caught the ball, turned 1 step, went down to a knee, and then the ball pops out. He didn't become a runner. He took 1 step. So there's really no argument there. They were completely different plays. They looked similar, but if you review them correctly. Now, I saw somebody post this, and this was interesting. Not a really relative game, but same stadium, same exact location on the field. Ty Montgomery earlier this year, when Hundley took over in his first game, he threw that pass to Montgomery. It was the exact same place in the exact same stadium and the exact same amount of steps, and he was never touched, and they overruled it and called it not a touchdown. So they probably got that call wrong back in week whatever. It probably cost me a touchdown because I had Montgomery. So I even heard that Goodell came out and said, hey, it's not being called wrong, but there is a problem with the rule. They're going to go heavy at this rule in the offseason, which means we're not going to know what the hell it catches next year either, because now it's going to change. But let's hopefully they get it right. Let's hope that replay gets it right. Unfortunately, I think what Steve is saying is they didn't want to overturn touchdowns in this game if they were close, and they left it because on the field it was ruled a touchdown.
So here's my problem with that, right? And I know we got to move on, but my problem with that is I'm concerned if that becomes the way it goes, right? They're concerned about me overturning a call because of all the flack they've gotten, or because they're standing behind the not enough evidence thing. Because I think the inclination is to automatically call it a touchdown so they can review and change it, right? I mean, I think throughout the NFL's history, I think a lot of people have said that that's the way it should be done. We talk about that a lot, right? Whether it's a touchdown,
I have said that.
Or whether it's a fumble, let it play out, and then, that kind of thing. So that concerns me. Then if your first thought is to call it a touchdown so you can review it, but then you're not going to actually review it or overturn it because you're worried about kickback, then that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
All right, last question about the game. Do you guys feel like Justin Timberlake should not have gotten paid as much because Prince sang most of the song?
Justin Timberlake killed it. He had a great halftime show.
I think he should have got paid less because he wore that shirt.
I'm pretty sure, in actuality, and this came out a few years back, that the artist pays the NFL to perform at halftime because it's promoting them, and I think that's true. The artist actually pays the NFL to get the halftime show because it's.
I don't doubt it. I will also say this.
You could get.
I'll also say this. Pink killed it. I mean, even though she was sick, she had a couple of missteps at the end, but she crushed it. Good for her, man, for powering through.
Did they? Now, I put on my timer, my stopwatch, and I got 2 minutes and percentage of seconds. Did they give an official clock? I never checked that on the prop bet.
Steve would know that.
I didn't know. Right? I didn't check the,
we'll have to go back
the actual
and check
time.
That. All right, so Super Bowl is over. 2017 season officially wrapped up. We're on to NFL updated their leagues to 2018 today. A little snafus here and there. I made a trade today in a dynasty league. I acquired Alshon Jeffrey. I got guys coming after me for Corey Clement. Let's quickly, we're about 50 minutes in, I believe now, so we have about 10. Let's talk about going forward into 2018 and a story that's relevant because of what happened with Josh McDaniel. ESPN's Chris Mortensen reports there are still doctors who have concerns about Andrew Luck's shoulder and whether he may require additional surgery. If you're an Andrew Luck owner, are you selling him? If not, are you trying to buy him really, really cheap? Steve-O.
At this point, you kind of have to start worrying. I don't know if if you want to acquire him. I think you have to find out more about what's going on. I mean, all along, that's the first I'm really hearing about him potentially requiring more surgery. Evidently, the surgery was all behind him last year, all of that kind of stuff. And now it just seems to be a lingering issue. I know there's been murmurs about this throughout all of last season, but to hear it actually, these issues continuing to linger, you have to wonder what this is going to do to him in the future going forward, if he's, ever going to be that same quarterback again. And from a dynasty aspect, I don't know if you should go out, searching for him and looking to acquire him. I'm sure on name alone, he's still got some value. And if you have him, you might want to just put him available and see what you might be able to get for him. Somebody might be able to give you a good piece, but it's going to be tough to move him, and I don't know if I'd be looking to acquire him at this point until you know more about what's going on.
Kevin, Rams are expected to cut gadget player Tavon Austin. Is Tavon Austin a guy you think that could catch on somewhere else in the league and be an effective player? Is he a guy in a dynasty league you would pick up if he was on waivers? I mean, if he's free, he's free. Or would you spend a little money to add a guy like that for the possibility that he goes somewhere else and it's not as crowded and he could get used?
Yeah, I'm not really spending any money on him or any capital. If you can pick him up for free, I'd say, and it's a league where you have some deep rosters for the offseason, probably not the end of the world to give it a shot. But I don't know. Look, I mean, it really takes a specific type of offense to be able to utilize a guy like that. Clearly, he's got some speed. Clearly, he's got some talent. But he's also had issues with, just in general being worked into an offense. So I'm not very high on him going forward. I think I have him in one league where he's it's a 30-man roster, a 35-man roster in the offseason. So there's no one else. So, I'll hang on to him. But I think that's about it.
Okay. Well, most of the news is limited. Beyond that, I see that Dante Moncrief is willing to take a prove-it deal with the Colts. So that might be a good thing. If he's got to earn his pay this year, that might be a good thing. Tajay Sharp is a name that fell off the map in year 2, really in year 1 after he lit up training camp. But he is supposed to be ready for off-season workouts. So that's a name you might want to scoop off of waivers if you have room on your rosters. Other than that, guys, I know we're going to probably take a week off here. It's been a long year. Great job by you two guys, and it's been a fun year. And I think we will be diving heavy into the Dynasty in 2 weeks, and we'll be getting some guests on it we've had on in the past, and Devy guys and Dynasty guys. And I'm really looking forward to 2018 kicking off for us in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be fun. It'd be nice to get away from you guys for a little while. But I guess I'm excited about starting up again, too. That'll be fun.
All right. I think it's time for Steve to finish us off. What?
Whoa.
I'm done.
This got awkward.
Wow.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check us out on Twitter at Falafel House, where you can find fancy new logo for the Falafel House there. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and also check out falafelhouse.com. Sal, on to you.
Yeah, we're rebranding and everything over here at the Falafel House. So I'll just add thank you to Jake Anderson, NFL Draft Talker, on Twitter, for working with me on that logo and shining us up nice. Appreciate that. He does a great job. If you need logos or banners or Twitter avies, he is there. Check him out. Kevin.
Yeah, that's it for me. I don't really have anything else either. As always, check out fantasycares.net. I'm sure that Scott Fish will have some more ways for you to donate to charity and work a little of that into your fantasy playing experience. So continue to do that. And if you don't do fantasycares.net, find out some other way to do it. So, looking forward to being back in a couple weeks with you guys. And until then, I guess, Steve, hit the button.